Today, I'm so excited to share my interview with Victoria Christofa, who is part of the family-run team at House2Home Moorebank in Sydney. They have a homeware store that really focuses their efforts on customer experience. There are so many things that they're doing well. We do talk about their socials as well because they have really nailed the connection piece between their socials and their customers. And then what they're doing in their store, both their practical day-to-day housekeeping side as well as the wow factors that they create for their clients. And I also loved a part of our interview where we talked about their website and their new website and the reasons they chose not to go full on to an online business, but to use it more as a catalyst to get people, customers into their store. So sit back and enjoy my chat with Victoria. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me on the Customer Connect podcast. And I am thrilled to introduce Victoria Christofa with us today from House2Home Moorebank in Sydney. Hello, Victoria.
Hi, Nicole. Thank you for having me. Really, really appreciate it.
Oh, I'm so excited. Now, Victoria came across my path originally through one of our shared suppliers. So
Yes.
one of my suppliers, Gloria, when we talk about great retail, she was always raving about what you guys did.
Very
And then I
sweet.
saw your socials and I was like, okay, I need to connect with with Victoria because it looks really good. So let me go
Thank
back a step though first, Victoria. And can you tell us a little about your retail journey and the business retail
Yeah.
journey?
So we've had House to Home Moorebank for, I think it's 18 years this year. It's pretty wild. It's been an amazing, incredible journey. My parents started the business 18 years ago, and I was a very young girl when we first opened House to Home Moorebank. I actually remember a little bit trip down memory lane. I remember when my parents found the site. So bit of a background story if no one has heard about House to Home Moorebank. We are a standalone site on a main road. We're in the Moorebank community. It's a very growing community in the western suburbs of Sydney. And I remember my dad would always scout for incredible stores. And my dad, I remember I was a young kid. I had my robe on me. I was at home, and my dad and my mum said, okay, I think we have found our store that will start our incredible journey. And I remember as a young kid, I was there, like I think I was 7 to 8 years old. I remember it was like literally pitch black at night. It was just a standalone store. And I remember sitting there in the car, and my mum and my dad said, this is the store. This is where we're going to start our journey. And there, 18 years on, I'm now in the family business. It's been an incredible, incredible journey. And yeah, we started as young kids pretty much. So, um, grew up surrounded in the world of retail, both my sister and I. I remember my parents would take me to international trade shows, all over trade shows all over Australia and international. And I remember I just really, truly loved retail. I loved homewares. My sister and I were just obsessed with it. Through school holidays, weekends, we would always be in the back storeroom pricing all of our incredible products coming in. We were greeting customers. So it really was a true family business. We lived and breathed the business, and we still do. And I think that's the key role. With opening up new businesses and stuff, you really do have to have a passion for your retail store. And yeah, that's where it all came along. And, even coming to these trade shows, just seeing the innovations, the new products, and always being and trying to be in the front of bringing in all that incredible product and sourcing colors and trends, coming back and bringing it into our retail store. And yeah, I remember, I think I was now maybe 10 years in the business this year. So it's been a long journey, but just feels like yesterday that I actually left school. I left, actually, to be honest, I don't tell many people this, but I thought, why not be open in the podcast? I left at year 10. So I could feel it from a young age. I wanted to definitely be in the business. And I left in year 10. And the next day I started full on working. It's been an amazing journey. And I think, it does take time, coming into a family business. It takes time to, find yourself in the business and find your niche. And I definitely think have found my niche, through social media, through, running with my parents, running through it all. So that's pretty much my retail journey. And I believe that, yeah, House to Home Moorebank isn't just a store, it's a destination. That's where customers come and, find the inspiration, and they come, and it's just an incredible store. And I believe, yeah, the hard work and the ethics behind it all, just unbelievable from what my parents have taught us as as girls as well, to really just strive in any business.
You've brought up so many great points there. First of all, the passion is from our first conversation so clear.
Yeah,
And
thank
I
you.
had a family business in that it was mine, but the kids worked in the business. But they
Yeah.
were very much there because they were being paid. I can see totally different kettle of fish there than what
Yeah.
my children were, which I love. You've obviously found that balance working the family business too, because you're obviously all passionate about it, but you can
Yeah.
balance sort of having that sort of personal side as well. But thank you for sharing about education as well, because I think that's so relevant. We all assume, and it's not, doesn't matter where you finish in school or where you finish in uni. People will often say, well, I don't have a uni degree, so I don't know how to do marketing or whatever. I think it's
Yeah.
bollocks, quite frankly. People learn on the
100%.
job, or what you learn in a lot of places, formal education isn't what you need on the job.
So true, Nicole. I think there's not a lot of information about that. Like, I'm firsthand, like my sister and I, like my sister has an incredible business, Paloma Living. She sells to international and Australia wide. And we both, like, it really is ground running. You get the best quality experience on the ground running, like what you've said. It's just
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. And clearly you're always out there in ways educating yourself. The fact that you're
Mm.
at all the trade fairs and, so self-education is just as important as the formal form. So thank you. That's really insightful. I want to go into, there's so many things I love about what you do. And we had a little chat when I first touched base with you about it. And I'm not going to focus on this today because there's so many other areas that I want to talk about, but I do want it to bring it to people's attention. Your socials are amazing because you are in the socials all the time. And
Yes, yes,
my
that's me.
regulars hear me rabbiting on about the need to be a person and to be seen. And I love that
Mm.
you're always talking about the fact that it's a family business and you're talking about the people in the business and you're connecting with your customers. So I want to share, and I will have this in the show notes as well, but H2, the number 2H,
Yeah.
Moorebank, and it's Moorebank, is the
Yes.
Instagram handle. So if you
Yes.
haven't, make sure you check that out, people, because really have a look at what Victoria is doing to
Yeah.
inspire her customers to come into store and to connect with you. So well done on the way you run your socials.
Thank you, Nicole.
But as I said, I'm going to kind of skip away from that because there's other areas. Otherwise, we'd be here for hours. The other thing that I really immediately saw when I started to explore your business was the clear focus on customer experience. And it is very evident when you look through those socials at some of the things that you do. And so today I really wanted to chat with you about those in-store experiences. And there's a little bit that's not in-store, but sort of the more customer experience sort of a direct side. And one of the things that I was really interested in was events, because as I, again, looking through your socials, I could see that you'd run quite a few events in the store. So can you tell us about the types of events you run in in your business?
Look, for sure. I think events is a great way to bring your community together. I think it's a great way to interact, connect with, existing customers, new customers, and really bringing in that type of community. I think there's a lot of things that not many other retail stores do, or even not even retail. Through any other business. I think it's so you can buy so much online, and you can, sit behind a computer screen, and you can do anything. But I think the interaction is where the main point of anything is. And I think a lot of people do long for that, long to have a chat and have that type of, feeling like they're a part of a community. So I definitely do think events has grown a lot in our business. It's a great way to meet and see our beautiful new customers as well. We've done a petting zoo for Easter. That was just incredible to see all of the young kids really interact and get involved in the petting zoo. That was amazing. We have Santa that comes in. He's the real deal Santa that comes in through Christmas time. We had a coffee cart event a couple of months ago. That was just amazing. 4 hours, and people came in, and you could see, takeaway sales. You can actually see how many beautiful customers really do love that we give back to the community. And I think if you are in a great community on where you have your retail store, I think your main thing is your customers. So you want to always give back, and that's our ethos with our family business, and our family. Our ethos is to always give back to the community. Through events and through fundraising as well.
And again, in reading about you, the word community was coming up all the time, and looking on your socials and so forth. And so I'm glad that you've been reiterating that, because it's clearly not just a word you throw away around. It's a word that you live by, and
Yeah.
you do want to build up a community with your clients. What's your main way of promoting these events?
Look, our main way is through social media, word of mouth as well. And then customers coming to store. We have big size posters when we have our events. I definitely do think, I don't give too much of a time to the customers as well, because I think if, you give them a month notice, or, 3 weeks earlier, it is a little bit long. So I do always recommend, and how we promote it is through all of our social media. I speak about it daily. If we've got an event on a Saturday, I would sort of, put it out through social media by, I would say, Tuesday, the latest, Tuesday, Wednesday, just to have that. You want that lead up. I think
Yep.
too much of a long time will, not see that great interaction with customers.
And you also are potentially risking someone who might have come last week not coming until the
Correct.
event, whereas you might get them back a second time if you can.
Yes.
If you've got that, if you've got the good engagement that you've got with your customers
Yeah.
on their socials, then that means they're seeing your messaging, and as you say, you're on there, daily or as often as you are, to make sure that they see the posts. I think that's a
Yeah.
great idea.
Yeah. And even through when customers come into store, we have a lot of customers coming into store obviously every single day. So having that word of mouth, speaking to the customers that we've got an event on, it's interactive, it's free. That's another thing. We don't charge for these events. We never want to charge for these events. So it's on us to give truly back to the community.
Yeah, okay, that's really good. The other sort of, and I'm going to call it event or wow factor, is
Mm,
again through your socials. It's very clear you freshen your displays in the store all the time,
yeah.
and I think that you see it in the photography. In fact, with the photography, do you do that in house, or do you use an external person?
So, actually, a couple of years ago, we were doing it mainly in house, and we had changed. But through obviously through our social media change, I actually brought in a marketing management company, and helped me through the social media. And I just saw, obviously a change. So, yeah, I have an offsite team that comes in once a month and shoots content with me. And yeah, we do have obviously an outside team that does do the social media for.
Great. I mean, because the photos are beautiful, so I was wondering if you're able to achieve them in house. That also means what you're saying there is your bulk up. You're doing them all in mass. Your socials, so you're
Yeah.
not sitting there every day having to, do your social posts.
Yeah.
You do
So
them all in one go.
obviously, so through our grid on our Instagram and Facebook, yes, I do them in a big chunk of the day. So it's bright up early days. It's 7 a.m. I'm filming to 2 p.m. That's how on the go it is, and that's how fast moving it is. But when I post my top pick daily segments, I do film that I would say twice a week, and I do upload that myself every single day.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Um, All right. So with the displays, so you've got a team to take your photos. How often are you updating your displays then? Because as I say, it doesn't look like you're just making a small change. It looks
No.
quite innovative in the way that you're changing your displays.
Yeah, yeah, totally. It is a massive full-on change. It's literally like bare shelves, new product in once a month. I would say every 3 to 4 weeks is maximum. 4 weeks is maximum. And we do really feel like, I think, changing your displays, changing your front shelves, and even if you've got other retailers don't, unfortunately have that steady type of, bringing in new stock all the time. That doesn't matter. It is okay to sometimes have that stagnant stock. It's all about re-merchandising, changing it up. If you get the daily customers in that come in every day or once a week and they see stagnant shelves, it's not going to have that overflow effect, translating that into sales. So yes, we do change it and we bring in literally every month all new product. We don't use product from last month into new displays. So that's been a big thing. Even from before I came involved, even my parents, that was their ethos. 17 years ago, it's still been the same. But it's obviously 17 years later, it's changed, it's evolved, bringing in new trends. And I definitely think, yeah, having that fresh, display. I actually sort of just film the front of our displays, but if you walk through our 600 square meter shelves, it's filled with unbelievable product that we do change all the time, because I think doing fresh displays, changing it up, re-merchandising really does help the visual eye.
I've got a great example of that when we would close at the end of the. So for those who don't know, used to have a Christmas store. So at the end of the
Yeah.
season, we'd have a clearance potentially to get rid of some stock, and then we'd open the new season. There's obviously some things that hadn't sold. They may have been half price, even lower than half price at the end of the season, because they're re-merchandised in a new
That was
position. They'll be the
oh,
first things that go at full price
yeah, it's
in the new
wild,
season. And
isn't
and
it?
so it's so important to vary it, because people see it in a new light when they see it with new products and so forth.
And even just changing it from one bay to another or one section, I no word of a lie, like it is so funny. As a team, we're like, oh, this hasn't sold, let's re-merchandise it. Like you said, the next day customers come in, love that, is this
Yep.
new? Like, it is crazy. It's crazy to think it's all just about re-merchandising.
And we do get caught up, I think, in thinking, oh, it's another big job, I won't bother. But clearly, you're prioritizing that job, and it is working for you and bringing your customers in time and time again.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And I think, prioritizing, that's another thing. We forecast within my dad and myself, mainly, we forecast 6 months earlier. So having and creating that time schedule, this is another re-merchandising day, or this is what we're doing. I think that brings great planning into it all. So I think definitely planning your schedule out so you can have those weeks to re-merchandise, those days to bring in fresh stock. So I think if you plan ahead and create those themes and the seasons as well, that's a massive thing that has definitely revolutionized the business as well. The last couple of years that I'm fully into it all now, is, yeah, planning ahead and forecasting.
And you mentioned seasons, then I can't go past talking about displays without talking about your seasons. So Easter and Christmas
Yeah,
displays. And this was Gloria, the supplier who put us originally in touch,
so
used to own
lovely.
Theatre Imports, and so she was the one who told me about what a beautiful job you were doing in your store. So you have these amazing Easter and Christmas displays that I imagine your clients travel to see, because they're
It is
very
wild.
inspiring.
Yeah.
How has this part of the business evolved and grown over the years?
Look, we're very, very blessed. Thank you, Nicole, but we're very, very blessed through it all. Totally, I think Christmas and Easter, definitely Easter is changing over the years. People would think 5, 6 years ago, oh, wow, like people decorate their house for Easter. Yeah, they totally do. It's, this year actually was just such a big change in Easter, so many different products, and visually it is just amazing. And then also as well, Christmas is a massive part of the business. I think people do travel all over Sydney, come from interstate. It's totally amazing. People travel 8 to 9 hours just to visit our store, just to see it through Christmas. It's just incredible. And I think seeing it, speaking to the customers firsthand and saying and speaking to us, telling them that, they've come 8 hours to travel to see us, it still to this day is like, is this real? Like, it is just crazy. And I think Christmas is such a big market. You only have it's a big market, but you only have a small window of opportunity. So, yeah, you've got, only 3 months to really sell that stock. And the thing is, as well, is that you have, as Gloria and as you would know, you're ordering Christmas 6 months to 8 months ahead. So you have to have that. It's a bit scary. You're having that foresight. Is this product selling? Is this trend selling? Is this going to work well together? But I think when it all comes together, it's grown, I would say a little bit out of proportion. My dad would say that as well. But yeah, it works very, very well together. We're actually in the midst of planning and bringing out containers. It's just chaos at the moment in the store. But
I remember this time of year. It's always chaos with the Christmas
oh my
collections.
God, true, true, true chaos, Nicole. But yeah, it's definitely evolved and changed over the years. And yeah, just I think, minus take away what the sales are coming into the registers, take away that. I think wholeheartedly, as our family business, we are all about bringing that joy, that happiness, that light. I think seeing those little kids come into the store, people have traditions, and one of their part of their Christmas tradition is actually coming to visit House2Home Moorebank. So, you know, bringing that and seeing those pieces go like from our shelves, go into the trolley, go to their homes. That's where the joy is. That's where the happiness is that those little bits of Christmas, products are bringing that family and those family and friends together during the festive season. That's where the key role of it all is. It's not about a proper business. It's about family and unity. That's where it all is.
And I think we often forget, we think we sell a product, but what you're selling is effectively family memories. You're creating memories for these clients who come in, particularly around those seasons.
Yeah, it's an experience. It's a lifestyle. So yeah.
Yeah. So you've got, obviously, with these main displays, which are bringing people into your store. I'm interested then in the actual in-store experience. So have you got, do you run where you have staff on the floor where they can guide clients through the buying process, or are you more till and they come to you?
Yeah, no, we're 100% all about the customer experience. Obviously, my dad and myself are still running the everyday business, but also on the ground running. That's what a lot of, people in the industry are shocked that, yes, my dad and myself, especially my dad, we're unloading forklifts, we're unloading containers. We are still in the business. We're a true family business as well. And our team members are incredible. We know we've got an unbelievable team, worth of 25 incredible team members as well, part of our family. So for one store, it's quite a lot, 25 team members, and also, team members of merchandisers as well, that we all come in and we all help together. But yes, back to your question, Nicole, I think definitely, having that true in-store customer experience, that is what is lacking in the retail world. So yes, it's not just pick up your product straight to the till. It's more about speaking to our lovely customers, curating a selection, through to everyday products, through to homewares, and especially at Christmas time, we really delve into, how's your tree looking, and how do your, how do you feel with your family, having these incredible products. So we definitely do spend that time and that quality, because, you've got the customer coming in. That's the thing. You've got our customer base through our social media. That's the one step. Then the second step is that they're driving into the store. So the third step is that you need to harness your customer experience. So, to have an overall experience. And I think the last step is for we've got incredible team members on the registers as well, having that interaction, speaking to them, because that's their last memory. When they walk out the door, their last memory is finishing off the till. So having an overall team experience, and a team member with customer experience, we definitely do, delve into it. And that is one of our biggest ethos as a family, to definitely have that customer experience.
I've never ever heard anyone say that that last person is the last memory, the person at the till, and that is 100%
Oh,
so
wow.
right. How have
It
we all
is.
missed this? Well done to you guys for thinking and to vocalize it, because Yeah, they are the last point of call. And if they're the person who looks like they've dragged themselves out of bed in the morning and
Correct.
have no interest, then it's no good. Also, clearly, you're creating win-wins. You're creating experiences for your customers, which means you're winning with money in the till. And there is nothing wrong with having money go in the till, because your average order value has to be going up by providing these personalized service throughout your visitors' time on the floor, which I think is fantastic.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, no, and it definitely is. It is a business, and I think if you help your customers, you bring them into store. Obviously, it's all going to be a whole holistic round of great experience, and I think that is definitely our ethos as a family, and it runs through the team as well. We are a true family business, so what helps with our great team members is that they know that it's going to go both ways. So, and it's beautiful, customers are messaging us through our social media. Wow, I had a great in-store experience with this team member, thank you so very much. So don't feel like I feel like other retail stores, or other people in the industry as well, feel like I can give 10 out of 10 to this customer. Is this customer going to ever feel like they're happy with my customer experience? Trust me, they are. They truly are, and that's when you'll also see the repeat of customers. So they do truly, wholeheartedly feel like they're a part of our family and they're a part of our team. The customer, messages through our social media a week is just crazy to see that they had such an unbelievable customer experience in store. So yeah, it definitely does help.
That's amazing, and that's credit to you and your father for creating that team and the culture that is bringing that together, and obviously then satisfying the customer to the point that they can be bothered sending you a note, which is a sign that they really are pretty excited about
Yeah,
what they've
thank
experienced. You also mentioned, we've obviously got these wow factors, I like to call it, the beautiful displays and the
yeah,
opulent displays. Your displays are not just average; they're
thank
beautiful
you.
and they're opulent, and
Thank you.
particularly those seasonal ones, which are well worth making a
Thanks.
trip to visit. But
Thank you.
you
Takes
also
a lot
talked
of time.
about a small thing when we spoke. You mentioned the car park as part of
Yeah.
customer experience. Now, again, I've never heard anyone talk about a car park before in relation to customer experience. What are you
Yeah.
talking about there?
So I think there's a lot of not a lot of standalone sites. To be honest, there are a lot of standalone sites, through Australia, through Sydney, through Melbourne, but definitely having a standalone site with great, upkeep. That's what I always like to speak about. I think the minute that you walk into our car park, it's expansive, it's large. You've got a lot of customer, car park ports as well. That's what we don't have a lot in Sydney. Most of our retail stores are in shopping centres. So you come in every morning, our car park is clean. Our hedges, our gardening is impeccable. It's always on point. My dad definitely is quite OCD, so he makes sure that the gardening is always done. The car park is clean. Our trolley bays are clean. Our product outside our car park is great. Then we've got the windows as a visual. Everything every day, it's always clean. There's no fingerprints on the windows, and it's not a dirty store. It's a very clean store. We get once a week floor cleaners come in. We have team members come in every afternoon and tidy up our shelves. So yes, I definitely do think, as customers, even myself, if I would go into another retail store or even a coffee shop or anywhere and saw an incredible car park that you come in, and especially at Christmas time, we have a big life-size Christmas tree at the front of our car park. So you definitely feel that full unbelievable experience that you're coming into like sort of a warehouse, but not really. It's a retail destination shop. So yeah, I definitely think a lot of people forget about the upkeep of the store, but the upkeep is what is going to help the customers feel like it is a clean space coming into the store. So yeah, there's a lot of people say there's not one speck of dust, and that is practically true. In our retail space, we're always cleaning, we're always sweeping up. It's a clean space, and that's what I would love to come into store and see. So yeah, it is great.
I know that I think back to our old store, and I know I didn't pay attention to the back where people were going to collect parcels. And
Yeah,
I'm sort of sitting here going, wow, that's really, it's really valid. And you're talking about the housekeeping here and how essential all those
yeah,
essentials, all those housekeeping side of customer experience is so crucial. Because if you weren't getting that right, and if your store was messy, and they wouldn't even notice all the other things, or they
no,
wouldn't bother coming back into store. So
definitely not.
you're nailing both sides of it, which is amazing.
Yeah.
I need to do a road trip to Sydney. Clearly.
Maybe you and Gloria can come together.
All right, I wanted to talk a bit now. We have been talking about in store. I want to just talk a little bit about your website because you've just relaunched or launched your new website. Again,
Yes.
we've got all the details on the show notes, but house to the number 2 home Moorebank, again, MOOREBANK.com.au is the website address. And
Yes.
so you've just launched your beautiful website. You've
Thank you.
created some lovely bundles of products in there, and I see many of them are your sister's beautiful cushions because I know her brand and I love her brand as well. But you seem to have made a very conscious decision to focus not on having all your products on the website, so having it beautiful photos and so forth of your store, and very much promoting people coming into your store rather than getting really into the online space. And I
Mm.
just wondered if, which I think some people can be dragged into, they can feel like they have to do online in a big way in retail. But you seem to have made a conscious decision. I'm just wondering if you can talk to us about that and how that's kind of evolved.
Yeah, definitely. Look, we are still a very much so in-store experience. I think I wanted to see over the last couple of months, obviously, to see, we have customers message us daily, hundreds. Are you going online? Are you going online? I'm interstate. I want to, shop all your incredible products online. So I thought to myself, as a family, my mum even said, okay, well, look, we are seeing the traction. Go online. Let's put this out. Let's start small. Let's start some bundles. Let's start with the cushion bundles because we can't keep up to the cushion bundles in store. So we thought we can photograph that, do a photo shoot. Let's put it online, plus a little bit of bathroom bundles. So, yes, we have popped a very, very small selection of our bundles for, our Melbourne customers, Adelaide, Perth, Queensland, to experience a slice of House to Home Moorebank. But I thought I'd be raw and honest here. To be honest, in store is where it's at. I thought, I put it out there. I put quite a bit of social media backing towards it. And I wanted to see, the traction, how it all goes. But yeah, like I said, in store, you can't beat in store experience. You cannot beat the in store product. And visually, that's where the customers want. You can have all the incredible product from other stores, have your same product as well. We're not exclusive to the great product, but it's about the in-store experience. And like you said, I think there's a lot of people are saying, go online, find online, but like you said, is it worthwhile? A lot of people have to have different packing, a different packing team, a whole website, a whole team to launch it. But to be honest, firsthand, I have to say in-store experience is where it's at.
I I don't think we have this conversation enough, and I know that when I look back at my business, I added online, and it was great. It ended up being an online business, and that was fine. But you are running two businesses. When you have an online website, it becomes two businesses, and you need to be aware of this.
Yeah.
And you need a space to have items packed up, and you need team members to be looking after it. You need your head in the game to be looking after it.
Yeah.
And
Full
I
on.
think that's almost a shiny object. And I'm often talking about the fact that we get away from our core because we kind
Mm.
of drawn to the shiny objects that are around as something new because we get a bit bored. And I love that you're sticking to your core, that you are doing so well
Yeah.
and kind
Thank
of,
you.
yeah, you're still servicing the customers. And what you actually do really well on the website, and it's obviously fed through your socials as well, that I wanted to talk to you a little bit about was you have a lot of photo shoots, so Christmas campaign photo shoot, and you seem to do other lifestyle photos as well, which are really well shot to show your products
Yeah.
in real homes. People can
Yes.
imagine it in their homes. So you seem to have used your website more for that inspiration and
Yeah.
to bring people into the brand and into their store rather than just to
Yeah.
sell products.
Yeah, I think, look, photo shoots are a great way to definitely show, like you said, the products that you display in your store to a real home. But I definitely think, um, it's not all about, the glitz and the glam of the photo shoots. The photo shoots are full on, months and months of planning, bringing the stock, transporting it, a whole team behind all of us, putting the collections together. It is a full, even that week of a photo shoot, it is chaos. So I definitely think, yes, having that photo shoot to see your products, but I definitely think the in-store experience that you have and actually putting your face to the brand as well, and showing the products, even if it's at a photo shoot, even if it's in your store, your customers, if you bring them into the store, they're still going to choose that product. And speaking to them as well will make those products, go into their shopping trolleys as well. So yeah, the photo shoots are great. I used to do quite a lot last year, but I definitely have, honestly, actually, the time and the effort, that's where it all is. And if you put, the money value to these photo shoots, I definitely think, speaking more to the camera and having those more in-store experiences will be better than a photo shoot, because the turnaround for us is very, very short.
Yep.
We display 3 weeks ago, 3 weeks later, it's all gone. So
Yep.
yes, I think having those Christmas photo shoots are incredible. We actually have one coming up, I think, less than a month. So full on. The planning has started actually 3 months ago. So, it does take time. But I think having, 2 or 3 photo shoots a year will definitely help us and stuff. But yeah, it's just finding the time and everything like that. So yeah, it's full on.
It's also more than time, though. If I actually think that you're onto a good point there too. Things have changed. People want to see real in their
Yeah,
socials. They don't want to see curated. I personally cannot be
right.
bothered with a post with any business that just shares beautiful photos and nothing else. And I
Yeah,
said at the beginning we weren't going to talk about socials, but we'll just throw a little bit in here, because I think it's really important. You are creating, I mean, they are still beautifully shot. So, you do a great job. But even if you didn't do a great job, if you didn't have a team, I think it's still valid that you could, you're sharing yourself and you're sharing the story behind the
yeah.
products, and you're showing how to use them, and your displays are so pretty you don't need a photo shoot to sort of show them.
Thank you.
But
Thank you.
you're so young. You're so young. And
Right.
you're in front of the camera all the time. And I always find it surprising when people won't get in front of the camera, but that's because I've got used to it over the years. But I'd love to know how I'm sure at the beginning you know, you weren't born to just jump in front of the camera and start talking about products. How did you kind of evolve into the face of the business?
Yeah, look, we saw a few years ago as a family, we saw a clear shift in retail, to be honest. Customers are engaging in the store, yes, but the customer foot traffic was a little bit down. Retail isn't all for its glory days. You've got to go through the hard times, and that's the thing. You've got to have a strong foundation. You've got to get through the hard times to really plow through it, and there will be better and greater days ahead. But through those hard times, I definitely think that's when it's the best time to rethink, reevaluate the business. So we definitely saw a kind of a shift a couple of years ago in the store, and as a family, and we were sitting down. I still remember. I think we were in Noosa actually, and I think it's also great as well too. A little bit off topic, but when you definitely do see a little bit of a shift and change in your retail business or in any business, I definitely think as well it's time to always good to remove yourself a little bit from the business, rethink, restart, have a bit of downtime. And that's definitely what happened. We had a bit of a downtime, and we thought to ourselves, well, what can we do to always change? That's another thing. You need to always evolve in your business. So I remember we were in Noosa, we were sitting together as a family as always, and my mum and I were speaking, and my mum said, I actually said to my mum, I think we need to bring a social media person in, a social media management, to change up our grid of our Instagram, to do more reels, do more videos, show a little bit of interaction. So yeah, my family, that's another great thing as well. I think there's a lot of stigma around about a family business, but I think my family is just amazing. My mum and dad always, as young kids, if we loved a product, they always said, okay, yep, let's buy it. Let's invest in that. So definitely my family, my mum and dad said, okay, well, yep, great. Put your feelers out there. Come back with quotes, Victoria. Let's get onto this. So I think by Monday, I literally messaged a couple of companies that I saw through social media, and I reached out to an incredible social media management. And yes, they helped me. Obviously, we had a meeting. We literally got the ground running. We moved fast as our family. So within 2 days, or I think in a week max, we had a photo shoot. We got all that going. And I think, to be honest, truly, I think we started social media and bringing the social media management grew. I think around about it was March and April, and I think I went away as well. I had a family trip, and we could still see, it does take time. Social media takes time. It's like running a business, takes time. And I think in August, my mum said, Victoria, why don't you put yourself and your face to the business? Why don't you, create yourself? And at first, I was so scared. I was, oh, do you think it will be okay? What's going to happen? But you know what? I said to myself, I think there's definitely something out there. And I've always been that. I'm a younger child, so I've always been the one that's always up and at it. As younger children, whoever's listening to this podcast, you would know we've got a little bit of, pizzazz to ourselves. Still remember actually the first video that I did. I created these top pick segments, and 2.5 years later, I'm still doing them every single day. So I remember the first top pick segment was our incredible meat chopper. So I remember it. It's just a unbelievable kitchen gadget, $2.95. I remember even looking back at those videos, I could see myself. I was so shy. I was nervous, but I have to say, Nicole, within 48 hours, we sold 144 pieces of this meat chopper.
God.
It was unbelievable. And that's when I knew, okay, there's something there. We saw our customers love and interact. That's another thing. They saw the rawness of me. And I still, 2.5 years later, I still, not all perfect on the videos, but that's, again, they need to see the rawness. They need to see that it's unfiltered. There's no filter on what I'm saying. I truly do love the product. And I think social media, it's a great tool to have. I think if you stay consistent, that's another thing I wholeheartedly believe. And my mum always says consistency is key, Victoria. Having that consistency, 2.5 years later on, I haven't missed a day of posting.
Wow.
Having that traction, foresights, seeing what the customers love and bringing it in. I think, if I hadn't put myself to the social media, and if I hadn't put myself to the brand of House2Home Moorebank, I don't know what would happen. It would be scary because, and retail changes. Everything is changing. And I think if you don't have a big online presence, you need to have a big social media presence. So that's a big thing.
Yeah,
But yeah.
I totally agree with you. And I think when I looked today, it was about 39,000 you have followers on Insta. What about Facebook? Are you on there as well?
Yeah, on there as well. And actually, funnily enough, when I started becoming the front face of the business, we started with 14,000 followers, 12 to 14,000 followers. So yeah, it's definitely grown. It takes time to grow. That's another thing. I used to always think, oh yeah, grabbing these followers would be great. It's all good to, boost on meta ads and boost through everything. But, does that translate to bringing our customers into store? I think, again, 2 years ago, it was all about boosting, it was all about these meta ads. But I think they definitely changed their formula. And I think as well, having more of those organic posts through social media definitely help. Being organic, me being in front of the customer's face definitely helps every single day, and showing the products. I wholeheartedly believe, wholeheartedly love each and individual product that I post. So I'm very grateful, very blessed that my mum and my dad said, Victoria, be the front face of House to Home Moorebank. So it's amazing.
Yeah, it definitely it reinforces the family, it reinforces the person, and it's so important these days. I want to go back as what you were saying then is there were two really important points I thought you also made. First of all, I love the idea that there's things that aren't going well, so you take yourself away somewhere to plan.
Yes.
And I personally know that moving away from my normal environment, I love to be somewhere where I can see the water and be planning. Is really, it was always important for me as part of the yearly sort of cycle. But you also, whilst you changed, I also love that you doubled down on the fact that your core business is to be a destination retail store. And
Yes.
so you didn't get worried. You just found ways to embrace that and to provide the
Yeah.
message to others as well. And as I said,
Yeah.
it would have been a time where a lot of people would have gone, oh my God, I've got to go online, I've got to do this and I've got to do that and get another
Yeah.
store or whatever. But you went, no, this is who we are.
100%. And I think you've got to stick to your ethos in your business. Don't sway to what people say. Stick to your gut instincts. And that's a big thing with our family business is that, my mum and dad have always sticked, my dad came from supermarket background. So he's always been in a retail business. My dad and my mum are the front face of House to Home Moorebank. And this wouldn't all be possible without them. So I definitely think, there is a lot of people do definitely speak and say, do this and do another thing. But I think you've really just got to hone in your ethos and really have a slogan. I think our slogan definitely is a one-stop destination. You come in to store buying one thing, you come out with the whole trolley worth. So that is definitely our slogan, And as well, another slogan is I saw this product yesterday, how is it gone? The next day. It's crazy to see the traction and the interaction as well from our beautiful customers coming into store. So it's grateful. All this wouldn't be possible without our beautiful community.
I think that's your third ethos because you're very much about your community and you see your customers as part of your community rather than just as money in the bank, and you
Yeah.
clearly truly live that rather than saying it.
Thank you, Nicole.
Well, I think that we have covered all the questions, Victoria. This has been amazing. There is so much that you do so well. And if you are in Sydney, please go and check out the store, House to Home Moorebank. It's definitely worth checking it out. I've got the contact details again in the show notes, but I'm just going to repeat them again. The Instagram handle is H2H Moorebank. And then the website is House2Home Moorebank. And again, Moorebank with double O.
Yes.
But they are in the notes as well. Thank you so much, Victoria, for sharing so much of your story with us and what you're doing well. I cannot wait to see what you do for Christmas this year as
Wow.
well.
It is full on. We are actually launching, I may as well say it on the podcast, but we're launching the first Friday in October. It's incredible. So mark your calendars. The process is already starting. It is going to be, I think, truly the best Christmas displays this year. I think, every year we think, how can we outdo last year? But the products, the price point, that's another thing, price point. Price point, product, visually, it's going to hopefully all be worth it. So if anyone's in Sydney or wants to take a trip from Melbourne, make your way. First Friday in October, 9 a.m. doors are open. So thank you again.
I know there will be many, many customers waiting for that and will be on your doorsteps when you open.
We'll see you, Nicole. First Friday.
So that is it for today's episode. Again, thank you, Victoria. Thank you, everyone else, for your time as well. I know that I'm sure you got some great tips out of this conversation. I certainly did myself. Make sure you follow the podcast. Check out Victoria, all the details that I've got there for connecting with Victoria and the team at House to Home Moorebank. To everyone, have a sensational week. To you also, Victoria, have a sensational week, and we'll see you soon.
And thank you so, so much, Nicole, and everyone listening to this podcast. Again, thank you for the support, the love, and like I always say, this wouldn't be possible without our beautiful customers and community. So thank you again, Nicole, for having me on this incredible podcast.
Perfect way to finish. All right, everyone, you have a great week. See you soon. Bye.
Bye.